This is the AM show, and we've gotten to the part where you get to share your thoughts with us on the topical issues we've been discussing so far. We've been talking about child streetism and asking you what you think government can do to end the menace. Also, I would like you to share your experience with us. We've been doing this throughout the week on the implementation of the e-levy. This time, we are finding out from you if you've experienced a rejection of mobile money payment and you've been asked to pay cash instead. You can call us. The numbers will be on your screen shortly, and we'll be glad to share your thoughts with the rest of the world. But while we wait for you to call, let's take your comments on this on our Facebook page, JoyNews on TV. And there are 32 comments to this particular issue. Da Costa says government should build foster homes at far places, arrest all those children and send them there. Once your child is arrested, you don't have custody over that child, and this will serve as a deterrent to others. Alexis says even the government is busy begging for things it already has. Wow, that's a harsh one, isn't it? Victor Wusu says the children are innocent in situations like this, just like a teacher beating a child for not paying his or her school fees. Parents of these children should be held responsible. Some send their wards to go beg while they sit somewhere and watch. It's true, we've witnessed that. Moral Dia says most of them are not Ghanaians. They should send them back to their country. So there's the element of immigration and what our immigration officials are also doing to pick up these people who are not citizens of Ghana begging on our streets. gov't says that child has parents, therefore he's begging because there's no job for the parents, okay? If the parents are working, the child will be in school or somewhere else. So he thinks that, providing jobs is key to solving this problem. He should refers to government, should make jobs available and, okay. No child is satisfied and will stop going out to beg. All right. Sub-Zero says government should. Oh, wow. Okay. Sarcasm. They're talking about the National Cathedral. Raj says our ideas would never merit consideration. So there's no need to waste our ideas on words on this. And I don't know how many Ghanaians feel what Raj or how Raj is feeling. Tony says the same government picks the children from nowhere. Oh, really? No, I'm not sure that happens, no. Rashid M says vocational training is the best option and a monthly allowance for their upkeep. Parkwesi says parents should be arrested. Some are strong but are still begging. Shep says this is found everywhere, not in Ghana only, and there's no way it will end provided the hardships, I'm sure you want to say, in Ghana is ended. Raj says there's a simple solution, just that this government came to power to enrich themselves. Okay, so there's some interaction on that particular post. Page also believes that, well, simply, dealing with this problem is arresting the parents. The parents send them there to beg. Usually, they'll go and sit at a corner and send the children on the streets to beg. So that's one leg of the problem. There are also children who are orphans. There are children who've traveled from different communities coming into major cities to work as helps or to live with a relative. They may not like the condition then, so they run and they get onto the street. So it's so many aspects creating this particular problem. Cam Davis says government itself is a beggar. How does a beggar stop a beggar from begging? Okay, but this has to do with children, has to do with abuse, and has to do with their protection and the rights that they have. When government goes out to get a loan, it's in its rights legitimately. It's like you going to the bank to get a loan. So I think they're two separate issues. But you can also call us and share your thoughts with us, share your experience with us, in dealing with these children. Earlier, we had a conversation and one of our guests, Lawyer Pencil, touched on the bit of the law. He thinks that dealing with this problem is simply exploring the prosecution angle. And I don't know what you make of that, because this country is a highly religious one. And so sometimes there's a challenge between morality and legality, and where you find people, giving these children money because they think that, well, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I have to give to the poor. So let me know what you think. 0302 211 691, 0302 211 692. I have a caller from Nungwa. Ishak, thank you for joining the program. Let's hear your thoughts.
Good morning. Point of correction. I'm calling from Wa, not Lingua.
Okay. Thank you, Ishak.
You're most welcome. I think we are crying more than the grief.
Why?
Why am I saying that we are crying more than the grief? Most of these beggars that we have found on our streets, without any physics, but I can tell you that 70% of them are coming from our neighboring countries. And I ask these people passing through our borders into our country, what's the work of our immigration services there? What's the work of our assembly? What's the work of our RCC? What's the work of the local government service? What's the work of the gender ministry? What's the work of the Ministry of Local Government? And, hello?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
And I cannot imagine why we have allowed these people in our society to just come around and get within our street. I drive 88 days on our street of Accra and the street of Wa, and people come to you begging us. Is the assembly there with us? What is the assembly task force doing? I hear the lawyer or the social gender man talking about funds. Funds is not our problem, my dear sister. Funds is not our problem. When you need funds to go and fight people selling on the street, we are there to fight them. When we need task forces to go and fight people like that, we get all of them. And when it is about citizens, we have no problem at all whatsoever. I think that funds is not a problem. You can go out there and fight.
Maybe for you, funds is not the problem, but the allocation of it, because he is a social worker, and he says they don't have enough money to do their work.
Peter, I'm not arguing with you. Ask either of our assembly. When we, in fact, quite recently, we saw the regional minister of Greater Accra moving the agglomerated people to the other side. This was not about funds. It was about the security services that the government deploys. Can't our assemblies do that?
Okay, so Ishak, we have to pick other callers, but if I get you right, what you're saying is that if government is determined to get the children off the street, it will do so, right?
I'll be very glad.
All right. Mustafa from Cape Coast, let's hear you too. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mustafa. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yes. As I'm saying, issues of citizens and beggars on the street and child welfare program issues in general, in my opinion, it is a myriad of challenges, but we as social workers will be able to do what we will be able to do to ensure that this menace is tested.
Mustafa, are you a social worker?
Yes, I am the Metro Director for Social Welfare Public Development, Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly.
Okay.
Yes. First of all, the lawyer was talking about prosecution, and I think that it is very, very important that we begin to turn our attention to that aspect. Why am I saying that? The parents who are irresponsible need to be prosecuted, but we should not also forget that in reality, practicality, it is when we get the children off the street, we will need a shelter, a residential home to, in the interim, keep those children there. Now, when you look at prosecution, it is a whole time-consuming issue. Now, when we take these children off the street, immediately what we will need is to send these children to those shelters. So we can imagine if in a day we are able to take about 50 children, ask yourself, where within the metropolis that we can send these 50 children in the interim? What will be the finances? What will be their needs? We need to consider that.
All right.
Then after that, the social welfare officer together with the police we need to keep investigation. We social welfare officers, we will conduct what we call the social inquiry report.
Yes.
It is through the social inquiry report that we will be able to locate where the parents are.
All right, Mustafa. I appreciate your contribution to the conversation. Unfortunately, we have to pick other callers. But you mentioned something interesting, Benjamin, right. And it brought something to my mind. You know, so some of these parents who you're told by the director for gender in the Central Region are single parents. When you prosecute that parent and you put them in jail, what happens to the child if you don't have a shelter? So right. it's multifaceted. But let's hear Yakubu from Nandom. Please make your comments very brief so we can pick up the callers. Thank you for joining the program.
Hello.
Hello, Yakubu. Let's hear you.
Yeah, please. I'm saying that the fault is not from the parents. There's no any job for the people to be doing and taking care of the job. Even government himself borrows, they beg. So there's no any job in Ghana here. So if they don't want the people to be begging on the side of the road, they should create some jobs from them so that they will be taking care of the children. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment, Yakubu.
Yeah,
so Yakubu is being rather blunt about the situation. Unemployment or a lack of, a way of getting by is what leads some of. I forget whether it was Richlev Amamu or Lawyer Painto or maybe even Mr. Derry, who mentioned that in some communities, there's galamsey going on, and some parents intentionally, because they know people who are doing galamsey every day on a daily basis or weekly basis, they'll get something. They let these little girls go try to take care of their homes and all of that, and some end up sleeping with them. The parents are fully conscious of it, but for economic, means, they do this. So that's also a fair point to be made.
But there are others who say, if you don't have a job, why send a child? Why don't you step out yourself? Because the child is vulnerable. The child can be taken advantage of.
Right. You
as an adult are in a better place to do what that child is doing, even though it may be illegal. So, many aspects of this conversation to be had. Do we have another caller, Benjamin?
We do not have a caller for now, so we'll be connecting shortly with Samuel Kojo Brace, who has been roving. In fact, he's ready for us. He's been out there, and he's been engaging you on these two matters about street children and begging and all of that, and also about the e-levies application and how it's impacting your Momo transactions, whether people are refusing to take mobile money from you on the back of that. Kojo, if you can hear me, do take it away. What is the latest you have from where you are?
Wherever you are watching AM Show, good morning and thanks for tuning in. We're on the street once again to get your thoughts on some pertinent issues. Two issues we have today. One is with the fact that there are so many children on the street of Accra begging for alms on a daily basis. This practice was outlawed some time ago, but it looks as though we have not been able to contain it. But the question is, would you still be interested in giving money to children on the street or not? Again, have you been refused the payment of Momo to any service provider in your area? We are here to engage you. I have this man here to find out. Boss, it's saying,
and I'm saying, I'm not tuning soon. It's an some big Nakwan or Munis scanning to the baby habit no Mabijanaho. Because Ubijanawa Ubemano. Council bonus soon, sir. Problem be bar, a very different thing. But since you can't say they are never in Chay.
Enti so be Bijana can however man is can now man.
Oh, me mano. Me manu to the senses, and me man, they be obeba. And then you say me in Pabonini, say me manu, but Bana Obano. And only problem goes, Monsieur, ye kutaka ma a bon kolani bida. Ye fair police by no much driver ni tumo. Ye bring driver no. So be a cranny free no cross car no. Ne a cranny fortunes once or they can abo penipani de a old driver of fort. So but and ya infan abroche infan abako who sa no ma we bi o. There be a penny for some to coin, and to coin, there be a call to coin any officials, if or play more, there be answer no, don't work on my. And you know, and yet.
So what he is basically saying is that practice is not good. It's something that we have to deal with. When I asked him about whether he will be willing to give them money, he says no, he won't, because as long as he gives money to those children, he is encouraging them to keep doing that, and so he won't. It doesn't mean he is not a good person, no, but he is not willing to help that practice to go on. Now, he says he travels a lot and he doesn't see this, so he doesn't understand why we're not able to deal with this here. Now, my other question is, what tries obi tria obi mumu? So obi what turn adia o tria mumu so onji moda.
Okay, no, they on kasa on job eti.
The pass 11 they've been told.
They've been to me and they've been to me.
But that's it. So we are still on the street here, trying to get more people to speak to share their thoughts with us here on the AM show this morning. I've seen this young man here. I'll try and get his attention. Chief, thank you very much. We are talking about streetism, where street children beg on our highways. I'm sure you've seen them. I'm sure you've had thoughts about it. Yeah. What do you make of that particular practice?
I can't really tell. Most of them are not from this country. They come from different countries to come and hawk on at the roadside to beg for food and whatever. And some of them to have parents who are hiding behind, and they send the children ahead of them to do that. The only way is, before the people come to the country, they should find out what they're coming to do. They should just enter the country and just come to beg. There's nothing wrong with begging, but at the roadside, where a car can just maneuver, that's the most dangerous part of it. So I believe that the Ministry of Road and this, that's what they have a work to do based on that.
So the Ministry of Gender should also try and...
Yeah, it's true, because they are the one in charge of the children and those and their parent affairs. So they have to involve. And then, as I was saying, those who are coming to the country, before they come in, they have to find out the purpose of which they are coming. You can't just come to the country, come and beg. They should find out what they're coming to do before you enter it. If not, if they allow anybody to enter, that's where we will have the street become full of people begging for food.
So, if you meet a young child, 4 or 5 years old, begging for money from you on the street, what would you do?
Well, being in the car, most of the time they come around the car when the car is stopped or when it's in the traffic. Sometimes we have compassion of them because of their age. Early in the morning like this, sometimes they have to eat. Not only them, the parents have to eat. So at that moment, you don't have much time to educate them, and they're not ready to listen to you. So what the best thing to do is either you give them something or you say you don't have anything. And that's the only thing you can do. Because at that moment, the education should be very short. Because telling the child doesn't understand what you're saying. It's the parent. That's what I'm saying. If you walk just by this side, you see that the parents are sitting down there, and the child goes ahead to go and do the begging, and then they collect the money from them. So
will you give if they ask you?
I give mostly based on if I'm being moved. I don't give to anybody. Apart from that, being a Christian, I know what giving can also cost. So before I give out something, I mostly pray over it before I give it out. That's what I've been doing.
So for you, when the children ask you on the street, you will give it when you're moved?
When I will give it when I'm willing to give at that moment, but not being forced to give. But when I'm willing to give, I'll just give it out.
Okay. My other question is, since the introduction of the e-levy, we've had complaint of some people saying that when they want to pay for a service rendered through Momo, some people are saying, no, we don't take Momo now. Have you had that experience?
Well, in my area, when it was introduced, when you go there, it's a queue, and what the queue does, you follow the queue and just take off your money. And then the reason is that we are afraid you have little. Let's say I'm a student here, and I'm about to pay my school fees, and I'm to go and draw, or my parents are going to deposit it to my account. You know how it's going to affect my education. So because of that, it's now it will reach a stage where the money will be sent to somebody instead of sent to the mobile money. And that's what we're going to face now. As a student, one of the fastest ways, it's say with 150 they will tax you. So if I say 140, you can't tax me. If I say 140 2 times, you can't tax me. So for a student, this is the first way you can also go through it. But the momo that have been introduced affect most of the students.
But you've never been denied to pay through momo, right?
No, I have not.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, so we're still on the street trying to engage more people to have their thoughts. I've had one person here to Chief. It looks like Ghana is struggling to deal with children who beg on our highways. What do you make of that practice itself, where you have a lot of children begging on the street?
Well, begging on the street is not the right thing to do. And then sometimes when you see them like that, even though you don't want to give them any money, they will harass you and then force you. So you end up giving them something. But then I suggest something should be done about it, because they've even begging on the streets and crossing the road anyhow, they can be knocked down by a car. Okay.
So when they come to you in traffic to beg for money, what would you do?
When they come to me personally in traffic to beg, sometimes I give them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes you end up giving them because of how they'll be pleading, and then they don't even care when the car is moving, they'll still chase the car and all that. So in order not to make them hurt themselves, you just have to give them. That is what happens most of the time.
What about Momo? Have you been denied paying someone Momo for service rendered? Like you bought food, but the person says, no, I'm not taking Momo now.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
Where? How did that happen?
Oh, just around Accra City. I bought Wache. The lady says she doesn't take Momo. Like, she stopped using Momo. That's the whole point. So, unless you go to a Momo vendor and cash the money out and come and give to her, she doesn't want to use Momo anymore, because she doesn't see why she will be charged for the peanuts she is making, whilst most of the big men are not even using Momo. So she doesn't want to use it.
When did this happen to you?
Oh, just 2 days today.
Wow. All right. Thank you very much. So I've gotten 3 people now for us to continue this discussion we're having. Let me start with you, sir. What do you make of the practice where children are on the highways begging for money every day?
I think they don't have, I don't know how to say it, like, they are just walking on the street and they don't have anywhere to stay. That's why they are begging for money.
Would you give them, when they come to beg for money from you on the road or on the street?
Sometimes, because if you see them in the morning like this, sometimes you see that they feel hungry and you have to give them something to, yeah.
All right, thank you. You're a lady, I know women and the way they are. But sir, stay with us, we're not going yet. What do you make of this practice where you see a lot of these young children, 4, 5, 6 years old, begging for money on the street?
I feel sad, because if they had a place to stay, they wouldn't be around. But because there is nowhere for them to stay, they actually have to stay on the streets, and that's very bad.
But you know, this practice has been outlawed. There's a law which is saying that streetism is not allowed, but it's still going on. What do you say when you know that it's unlawful, but still is being practiced?
I think the government needs to do something about it, because the government has a say in whatever goes on in the country. So if it's able to voice out, I think these things are going to stop.
If one approaches you, will you give it?
I sometimes, because it's not always good. Like, yeah. So if I have, I give. If I don't, it's sad, but I really can't do nothing about it.
Chief, as long as we all do give them, it encourages more people to come onto the street to give. So with this, if they come to you, would you still give it because of the way you are?
It's difficult sometimes to turn them away, because for all you know, the whole day they've not eaten. But it's against our laws to have these children on the street. In fact, they are supposed to be in school. And also, we giving them money encourages them to continue. Yeah, because some have adopted this strategy just to make money for their parents or whoever is taking care of them. So I don't think it's a good practice. And it boils down to law enforcement. if the law enforcing agencies are to see to it that they are not in the street, then we can curtail some of these things. So I think the government and all other stakeholders need to come on board and do something about it.
So will you give if they approach you on the street?
Normally, I don't, because I think by doing so, I'm encouraging them to continue staying here or continue in that practice. But once in a long while, you meet some of them and you are compelled to give something. But I don't encourage that. Yeah.
Thank you. So it looks as though the agreement is that, well, we give it anyway, but it's not a good practice, so we have to. But do you also agree that once we give, it encourages them to do it, so we have to?
Yeah, I believe.
You agree?
Yeah.
So do we all have to stop giving?
It's hard. You can't stop giving because, as my daddy said, for all you know, they've not eaten since morning. Some are genuinely not having. So at least sometimes you have to give. Yeah.
Chief.
Yes. Yeah. I'm working with one of car rental company, and sometimes we carry a guest from airport to some of the various hotels. And then sometimes if I carry a guest and I saw them like this, I feel very embarrassment. You see, so this practice must stop. Yes.
But you still keep giving?
Oh, sometimes you have to give it to them because they don't have anything to, yeah.
All right. My second subject is with the fact that some people are denying people from paying them with Momo now. So I go and buy food from a restaurant, I want to pay with Momo. They say, no, now we don't take Momo. Have you had that experience? Since the e-levy was introduced, have you had a service provider say, no, I'm not taking Momo now?
Oh, for that one, then no. Yeah.
What about you?
No, but then someone had to send me money. The person said no because he was going to pay e-levy, so he will bring it personally.
So you brought it personally?
Yes, he did.
Wow. Sir, what about you? Have you had that experience?
Not yet. Okay. But I think there is a lot of misinformation in the system. I mean, look at me, maybe traveling from here to Kumasi to give, let's say, 500 to these cities to my ward. And comparing it to me sending it by Momo so that I pay something small to the government, I think the government need to take time and explain this thing very well to the people so that people will not feel opposed to the whole thing. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. We're grateful. So this has been the engagement session with you. We've been roving around to get thought of people on the street of Accra as to whether they will still keep giving money to the street children who are begging, and also whether they've been denied payment of Momo to service providers. But there you have it. What's your thought? Join us on our social media handles as well. Let me try and get this my sweet mommy here. Oh, sweet mommy. Okay.
Well, here we are. All too soon, we have to draw the curtains. Did I just say all too soon, Bernice?
Yes, you did.
It's been a solid 4 hours here, and haven't we enjoyed the show? Yes, we have.
We have, and we've enjoyed your company as well. Thank you so much for all those of you watching on our Facebook page, on YouTube, on your television sets. We really appreciate your company, and we don't take it for granted.
Well, to go, let me just do this again, if time will allow me to do that. First of all, a very happy Mother's Day in advance to all mothers out there. We love you, we cherish you. And to my own special mom, Susie Akako, thank you so much for being there for me, always. I'm sure, Bernice, you have a wish.
Definitely. To my beautiful mom as well, Millicent Abu Beidu. You know, we appreciate the love and sacrifices. And when I come home, you know, a special treat as always.
Also to wrap, Yao Forsen, director here, he says, happy birthday to my dearest Irabna Kusimensa.
Hey.
Stay blessed, and he says, stay blessed and beautiful. And on this beautiful note, we wrap the AM show for another beautiful morning.
All right,
Thank you for watching.
Before I go, let me just say happy birthday to Forgive Amadika. Happy birthday to you and stay blessed. And that'll be it from us here for today and for the week. See you again, God willing, on Monday. Promises to be exciting. And we'll join you with various guests discussing various issues, as always, in your interest.
You have a great day.